What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Trent, as usual. Hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. Now, we got to talk about the men's Sweet 16 because it is coming up, but most importantly, my Blue Devils are still in this thing, and I ain't going to get too much into that. But what I am going to talk about is my ranking of the Sweet 16 matchups thus far. That's why we have 16 total teams, hence the name Sweet 16, but 8 matchups because obviously you got 2 teams going up against one another. Hence why we have a top 8. So with that being said, let's get it on and popping with the Midwest. Number 8 for me, Tennessee versus Iowa State. Look, this one is cut and simple. If Nate Ament if he played better, I would have put them a little higher because, again, I'm expecting more out of Nate. To be clear, I expect Tennessee to actually win this matchup. But Nate Ament was coming out of high school. I actually put eyes on him in high school. He did okay. He was projected top 5 NBA draft pick coming into the season. He's fallen down in the rankings. And him going up against someone like a Milan Momcilovic, I think that could help out Nate's case in terms of getting higher in the draft. He has good height, right? He averaged about, 17 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 0.6 blocks. At 6'10", 6'11", I would expect to see higher defensive stats personally. So I need to see more from the defensive end from Nate. But going up against someone like Milan, again, Milan is a 6'9" forward, averaging 17 points, 3 assists on 51, 88, 49 splits. And that is 51 from the field, 88 from the free throw line, 49 from the three-point line. That's pretty good. So I would love to see how Nate can do against Milan. If he can do well, I think that vaults Nate a little bit higher for the NBA draft the upcoming NBA draft. So let's pay attention to Tennessee versus Iowa State because that one could be a nice game. And again, I'm expecting Tennessee to win, but it's not like Iowa State can't win. Now, my number 7 matchup, it's in the South bracket. We got to show some love to Nebraska versus Iowa. We're talking about Price Sanford versus Bennett Sturt. Now, these 2 players are quality. Bennett is a guard. Price is a forward. But at the same time, though, they both are pretty dominant on their team. So who do I expect to win this matchup? Well, this is the thing, okay? If Bennett can outlast someone like a Sam Hoiberg, who, mind you, is about 6'4", okay? No, I'm sorry, he's 6 foot. Bennett was 6'4". And Sam is giving you 55 from the field, 75% from the free throw line, 40% from the three-point line. Bennett is giving you 20 points a game with 5 assists, 1.5 steals, right? But he's shooting 48% from the field, 84% from the free throw line, 36 from the three-point line. So if Sam can do his job and guard Bennett, which has been it's been no easy feat, especially considering the fact that for the season he's been averaging 20, Bennett meaning. If Sam can slow Bennett down and if Nebraska can play really good defense and force somebody else for Iowa to win, I think that makes Iowa a little bit nervous. So I'm expecting Nebraska to win this. However, if they cannot slow down Bennett, and especially if Price ain't hitting, it could lean Iowa's favor. But I'm expecting Nebraska to pull this matchup out personally. They have more reliable scores over the course of the season, and they got pretty good defense as well. So again, ladies and gentlemen, this is my number 7 matchup, and I expect it to be a good game. Now, number 6, we're going to the West, right? We got Texas versus Purdue. And, this should be a good one. I think this is actually going to be a good one. And it's kind of tough for me to put it at number 6, but that just shows you my top 5, they're pretty nice. But Dalen Swain versus Braden Smith. These are the best players on their team, respectfully, ladies and gentlemen, without question, okay? Now, hear me out. When I say best players, like Dalen, he leads their team in points, rebounds, and assists. Braden, I think he actually led the NCAA. If he won't first, he was second. But I guess shout out to Ricky Bobby. If you're not first, you're last, right? But he led the AC or the NCAA in assists. No, he was second. I apologize. But even still, ladies and gentlemen, that's still no small feat because he also only gave 3 turnovers. And leading your team in points, they've already proven, Purdue meaning, that he doesn't have to score a lot for their team to win. So that is a good thing. So keep in mind, one, Texas has already beaten a Braden Smith out of Gonzaga. So the question is, can they do it again? It's a different Braden Smith. They spell it similarly. But still, can Texas do this? And I think they possibly could. I think they possibly could, ladies and gentlemen. When I'm looking at these two teams, personally, they match up pretty well against one another. Texas does have the higher scorers, but offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. And I will say this, when it comes down to defense, they are pretty similar. So when I'm thinking of the teams, I may lean Texas, even though Braden is a bad boy and can make pretty well at a quality assist to turnover ratio. They don't have that over here on the Texas, on the Longhorns. They don't. So again, I do favor Texas, although the decision-making could be better for Purdue. So that could swing to Purdue's favor. Also, Matas Vokatatis versus Oscar Clough. These are the bigs. This is going to be the battle of the bigs. Matas is a 7-footer. Oscar is 6'11". So which big lasts longer is going to be Matas? Is going to be Oscar? Does anyone get into foul trouble? Because that's going to be needed going forward. When we're looking at Matas, granted, he's not averaging a block, 0.9 rounding up. All right, cool. And Oscar, same thing. So I would like to see a little bit more defensive, a little more rim protection for them. But again, it is what it is. I'm expecting Texas to win this matchup, but this is my number 6 matchup to watch. Because again, 1 through 5 is pretty spectacular. But number 6, having them here, it was tough for me. Now, we're in the top 5, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take it back to the South region. And we got Houston versus Illinois. Listen to me when I tell y'all this. Houston versus Illinois should be a game. Houston's usually known for their defense. And Illinois has been putting up some numbers, you understand me? But here's the matchup that I'm really looking forward to seeing. Keaton Wagler versus Kingston Flemings. These are both NBA draft picks who could go as high as top 5. I don't have them in my top 5 personally, but someone else in the NBA market might. So I get it. But listen to these numbers respectfully. Keaton Wagler, 18 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.8 turnovers on 45 from the field, 80% from the free throw line, 41% from the three-point line. That's not bad. And then Kingston Flemings, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. I'll point out the 1.6 steals. That's pretty impressive. Keaton only had 0.9. It's cool. And then we got 1.8 turnovers. So they both don't turn the ball over that much and get similar assists, also score similarly, and have pretty good efficiency because Kingston's getting 48% from the field, 84% from the free throw line, 39% from the three-point line. So here's what I'm seeing. If Keaton's actually snapping from 3, because that's where he's winning that battle between him and Keaton versus Kingston. So I might even say the last name. If Wagler is shooting 40% from the 3, and if Kingston ain't matching that, that could be a little interesting. But keep in mind, Houston does not have as much scoring across the board as Illinois. So I personally might favor Illinois for this matchup. Because, again, they have more scoring outputs. The only thing is, can Houston defend better? Can Illinois defend better than Houston? That is a tough one for me because, again, Houston does have a swarming defense. They have doubled their steals, close enough in blocks. But, again, ladies and gentlemen, the steals is what does it for me. So there's a part of me that really wants to change my answer and say Houston wins this one. Because offense does sell tickets, but defense wins championships. And Houston does have a quality playmaker and scorer in Kingston Flemings. But, again, it's tough. Because Keaton Wagler is no slouch. And also we got to talk about the fact that, Illinois does have Peja Stojakovic's son, Andre Stojakovic. So, again, they got some hoopers on their team. So I'm not going to be surprised if Illinois ends up winning this matchup. But I'm also not going to be surprised if Houston wins this matchup. I just expect Illinois to win. But enough about the number 5. Let's talk about the number 4. Midwest round bracket. Alabama versus Michigan. As a Duke fan, I kind of want to see Michigan again. I do. So fingers crossed that we can still pull it out, right? But Michigan was pretty stout this entire season. The matchup that you want to watch for is LeBaron Phyllon Jr. versus Yaxel Lindenborg. Now, let's keep in mind, okay, Alabama is pretty, well, look, all right, they got a good squad across the board, right? They have good scoring. LeBaron is out there actually averaging 22 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 2.6 turnovers, so almost 2-to-1 assist-turnover ratio, 1.2 steals. But he's doing 50 from the field, 79% from the free throw line, and 40% from the three-point line. That's not bad. Yaxel at 15, 7, 3 assists, 1.1 steals, 1.3 blocks. He's also given 1.1 turnovers, which is not bad considering he has a 3-point. Like, that's almost a 3-to-1 assist turnover rate. That's pretty good. But here's the thing. He's pretty efficient. 52% from the field, 83% from the free throw line, 36% from the three-point line. Ladies and gentlemen, Michigan has a good quality team. Defensively, they've been one of the better teams in the country, as well as offensively. They have good playmaking. They have good versatility. Meanwhile, Alabama, they're being led by LeBaron. So I get it. You got to put the ball through the nylon, right? So you got to believe in Phyllon. I hear it. I do hear it. But Michigan's defense has shown me that they can cause havoc for Alabama. So, yes, Alabama does have some quality scorers to help out in case LeBaron does not play well. But I think Michigan also has some offense on their team as well, too, to boot. So, again, I actually favor Michigan, even though I think Alabama can win this matchup. But again, ladies and gentlemen, this one's a tough one for me personally. And this should be a really entertaining game to watch because I'm expecting they're almost complete teams. And they got good experience across the board. So I cannot wait to watch this matchup personally. But, that's just me. That's out the Midwest, Alabama versus Michigan. Like I said, I'm favoring Michigan. Not surprised if Alabama wins. Let's move on up to number 3 because this one's really exciting to me. I almost put this number 2 personally. It's out the West region. We got to talk about here Arkansas versus Arizona. Now, y'all already know if y'all been listening to the pod, I love Darius Acuff's game. All right, buddy is spectacular. Now, here's the thing. He has been leading this team still in March Madness. Over the season, he gave 23 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists. Defense was It's cool, don't get me wrong, but he ain't got no eye-popping stats. But that's okay because his team does. And you got 2.2 turnovers. That's not bad from a playmaking standpoint from someone who also gives you 20-plus points on 49% from the field, 81% from the free throw line, and 45% from 3. Disgusting work. Meanwhile, on Arizona's team, they got Braden Burries, who does bury it pretty deep from 3 as well. But 16 points, 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.5 steals, which ain't bad. He's giving 4 turnovers on 50 from the field, 80% from the free throw line, and 39% from the three-point line. Again, a freshman. So this freshman battle, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be pretty spectacular. In fact, I think it helps Darius's chances of getting drafted even higher, especially if he produces at the same rate. He's been kicking tail this entire season and March Madness. Does he keep it going? Could be interesting. And meanwhile, Arkansas and Arizona both actually seem to be pretty decently matched up. Like when I'm looking at the scoring, pretty consistent. The steals, pretty consistent. The blocks, pretty consistent. The assists, pretty consistent. The rebounds is the only thing that Arizona leads by a sizable, like a decent enough margin. But keep in mind, though, Arkansas can hoop too. They can get pretty aggressive. So I can't wait to watch this matchup because for me, it's going to be the point guards that define the game. Which point guard can actually get off the most while not taking away from his team? I would expect Darius Acuff to do that. Because, again, let's say he doesn't score. The constant pressure he's going to have to put on the team, plus his playmaking ability, it does help favor Arkansas over Arizona. Now, Arizona does have quality playmaking as well, too. They have a Jaden Bradley who's getting 4 assists on 1.7 turnovers. So, yes, they do have quality playmaking. But Darius is out here moving them puppies, and he is hooping. And he might be a top 3 pick when it's all said and done. That's the crazy thing about it, ladies and gentlemen. So, again, I favor Arkansas in this matchup because I do favor Darius over Braden. And I'm curious if Arizona is, in fact, going to stop Darius. Remember, Darius could be one of Calipari's best guards that he's coached. He could be. He could be. And I remember seeing D. Rose and John Wall and them go quite far in March Madness. So I got high expectations for Darius personally. But again, that's one of my favorite matchups to watch right now coming into it. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and move it on up to number 2. Because you can probably guess how this is going to go if you've been following along. We got here in the East region. Causing a little controversy. Michigan State versus UConn. Listen, hear me out. Hear me out well. My matchup that I want to focus on is Tom Izzo versus Dan Hurley. Those are the coaches. Because we know how Dan Hurley is. He's pretty cool, right? Tom Izzo, been around, one of the staples that we've known, right? Usually does pretty well. Gets to the Final Four every so couple of times that he run in. You know, they do a good job. So which one is going to be the better coach? Who's going to do the better job coaching and leading their players? I'm going to be curious about that one because, again, both are quality players, but quality coaches who love their players, who do a really good job at uplifting their players. But also, we got to pay attention to Jeremy Fears Jr. versus Terrace Reed Jr. Now, if y'all don't know who Terrace is, Buddy just gave like a 31-27 game. And I'm talking about 31 points, 27 rebounds. Not 2 games of 31 and then 27. That was in the same game. And mind you, his team needed all of that in order to win, I'll give you. But still, 31 and 27, nothing to scoff at. And if he's averaging, if he improves his free throw percentage, that's a different, that is a whole different beast. But his field goal percentage at 63 is pretty spectacular. So I am curious on Michigan State's team, who finna stop that? Because when I'm looking at Michigan State's team, I mean, Carson Cooper is who? Like he cool. Like Cooper's a hooper to a degree. I'll give you that. Can he stop Terrace? I don't know. And then on the other side, too, UConn, they have other players who can score pretty well, too. So they have good depth. These teams are matched up pretty solidly. And if I have to be honest, this is just me being biased. I would not be mad if we played played UConn, because we're in the same bracket. So I wouldn't be mad at playing against UConn if we win, fingers crossed. But at the same side, seeing someone like a Cohen Carr, ladies and gentlemen, Buddy can jump out the gym. He has dumb, stupid athleticism. And it needs to be displayed in the NBA. So seeing him go further and seeing him see what he can do, I would love that matchup. But also, Jeremy Fears. He did prove to me, well, he can score the ball a little bit, but also his playmaking is not bad. 9.4 assists. He averages 15 points a game, but 9.4 assists is nothing to scoff at. And 1.2 steals. All right, I hear you. But the 2.4 turnovers, that's pretty spectacular. And when we're talking about decision-making wise, he could be the best point guard in the country. Now, his splits ain't the best, but once you get him to that free throw line, he's knocked down. 89%, that's knocked down. So if he's having a good game, it's very tough to stop this Michigan team, to be clear. If his teammates are having a good game, Michigan's very tough to beat. So if I had to lean anybody, any team, again, I would want to play UConn. I might expect Michigan State to win their matchup. Again, UConn could be the more dominating team in terms of rebounding and whatnot, but Michigan State ain't no slouch. And again, both are coached extremely well. So that's why I put the coaches matchup as first. But again, I can't wait to see this matchup. Because as a Duke fan, and y'all know this was my number one, we out the East bracket. We going up against St. John's. So if we can get past St. John's, this does a couple things for me. One, to be clear, every time Duke has won a championship, we have in fact beaten St. John's. So if we can do that, that gives me a little promise to say, hey, maybe we can go a little far. But outside of that, you got to pay attention to Cam Boozer versus Zuby Ejiofor. Because one thing that I noted was, well, Cam can struggle against length, and I haven't seen too many people slow him down, Cam meaning. But Siena did have a quality player who showed me, okay, well, you know what? Maybe there's a world where Cam's not the strongest person on the floor. And Zuby looked pretty strong. And he does pretty decently. Like 16 points a game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.2 steals, 2.2 blocks. On 55 from the field, 72% from the free throw line. 3-point line, we can let him slide because he's at 30%. So I'm okay with that. But battling Cam Boozer, who's giving me 22 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.5 steals, and 0.6 blocks on 56 from the field, 79% from the free throw line, 40% from the 3-point line. That ain't bad. Now, here's the thing that does it for me, ladies and gentlemen. Duke has Patrick Ngomba, who is shaking off the rust, right? Because he missed the ACC tournament, and he missed the first game versus Siena. Came back against TCU, did okay. Who I'm really looking forward to potentially seeing is Caleb Foster. Okay, if we get Caleb back, we get some of our depth, but we also get valuable leadership. We get someone who's shooting 40% from the 3. That's not bad. Now, while his free throws need to improve quite much, especially if we get Caleb back, I obviously lean my Blue Devils. Now, is there a world where St. John's wins? Yes, there is. And to be clear, there's a personal vendetta right here because we're going up against someone by the name of Ian Jackson, who used to play for UNC. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I would love for us to beat St. John for a multitude of reasons. 1, my team goes on a little further. 2, usually when we're in the championship, like every time we won our 5 championships, we've beaten St. John's. And 3, there's a little bit of UNC in this matchup as well, too. So again, I would love to see Duke win this matchup. And of course, I favor them because they're my boys. I got to ride with my boys. But ladies and gentlemen, we still got to show up to play. Isaiah, you still got to hoop. Patrick, we need you back. Caden, you have been snapping. Dame Sarr, we need your defense. And we need some bench help. Because, look, I need Nicholas Kamina, Darren Harris. I need all y'all boys to show up and show out. We need a quality 10-plus minutes from everybody on the bench. Because, again, it's March Madness. We need some depth, right? We need to make sure our boys' legs aren't bad. That was the reason why we beat Siena, because they were tired. They didn't use their bench. They were tired. We need fresh legs or fresh-ish legs for the playoffs, for the March Madness. So again, ladies and gentlemen, this is my number 1 matchup to watch because, again, it's my boys. But if I'm being honest, if I had to rank this one because I wasn't a Duke fan, I might drop it a couple pegs because I do like this UConn-Michigan State team. Matchup, as well as Arkansas versus Arizona. Now, Cam Boozer's the player of the year so far, so cool. We want to see him. He could be a number 1 draft pick. We want to see him. All these other matchups are good. So again, ladies and gentlemen, Tennessee versus Iowa State, Nebraska versus Iowa, Texas versus Purdue, Houston versus Illinois, Alabama versus Michigan, Arkansas versus Arizona, UConn versus Michigan State, Duke versus St. John's. These should be some good games to watch for the Sweet 16, ladies and gentlemen. So please make sure that you stay tuned and watch in. But also, that does conclude the end of the episode. But I'm curious who you all are favoring for each round. What's some of y'all favorite matchups? Did I miss one? Did I highlight one properly? Let me know. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, like I said, that does conclude the end of the episode. So please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone about the show. My name is Trey. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. I hope you are all having a good one. Take care.